Hey YouTube, in this deck profile I'm going to be doing a deck profile on the updated Bluish Flame Liberator Gold Paladin deck for Stride. As of now, with the G Guardian have been released. So this is going to be a slight update to the one I posted last time, which featured Magnus and Holy Flame. Bluish Flames are kind of on their way out, I feel. I feel like they're not going to be that competitive. Bushido is really trying to push Gurgurit and the GB based decks, so I feel like that's going to be the one that people shift to once set 7 shows up. But Bluish Flames and Liberators in general have had a pretty solid run, particularly Bluish Flames and Prominence Glare, which I don't actually have, but I feel like the Legion Gold Paladins have really held up well. You don't see them that much anymore in competitive play, but they're still a pretty fun deck, and Prominence Glare is still pretty powerful, kind of like Yggdrasil. Just because guard restriction seems to hold its value over time a lot better, even with all this new power creep that's entering into the game. But anyway, so this is probably gonna be the last time you see me do a Gold Paladin deck profile in a while. I may do the Gurgurit update, but I'm shifting away from Gold Paladin, and I'm starting to focus more on specific clans that I actually like playing a lot. So I'll start focusing more on particular clans, and Gold Paladin, unfortunately, is not one of them. So this will probably be the last time you see a Gold Paladin deck from me in a while. So for the grade 3s, I'm running 4 Prominence Core. Prominence Core has always been my Bluish Flame of choice. I never had Glare, probably never will obtain it. It's still, in my opinion, better than Prominence Core, just because of the GB, or just because of the guard restriction. But Prominence Core is still really fun, still really solid, as long as you know how to play Gold Paladins properly. The backup, of course, is Percival. He calls something for free when he legions. He doesn't use any counterblasts, so very good on the turns where you cannot stride, and also if you need to replenish the deck if it's running low on cards. So pretty good standard grade 3 lineup for Bluish Flames. Next, for grade 2s, 4 Aglovale. Legion made for both of them, so you got to run 4. 3 Magnus. May drop him down to 2, but he's still relatively good, and with all the striding now, he's still really good. Next, 2 of a card that I did drop down to 2 is Regulation Liberator Aglovale. This is the Legion made for Prominence Glare. I like that he's an 11k attacker for the deck, and he also allows you to not run stride fodder, because he can potentially search a grade 3 for you, so you can use that as stride fodder next turn. But yeah, I did drop him to 2 because I did want to bring back a card that I was running before Magnus came out, which is attack a turn Liberator. Brenius, he actually gives the Liberators the ability to unflip damage. And he's similar to him in that both of them, he can be an 11k attacker or more, or like he can be like 11, 13, 15k even, when the opponent, or like when you're calling a bunch of stuff from the deck. So, and then if he hits, and that affects stacks, so like if you call 3 things, he's +6 and plus whatever booster like Bruno or something behind him, and then if they let him hit, he's gonna unflip 3. So that red line does stack, so I do like that. But by dropping Aglovale to 2, I am kind of dropping my ability to stride, because Aglovale usually was my go-to card that I would use early game to, I would combo him with the other Aglovale to search for grade 3s and use him as stride fodder, because I'm not running the stride enablers in here. Everything is Liberator. For the Sentinel, I am running the 1 Sword Formation Liberator Igraine. I remember when Quintet Walls were a thing, back in like Monarch Alfred days, when people were actually like running Quintet Walls at like 1 or even 2 copies. Some people run like 3 Quintet Wall, 4 Quintet Wall, going all YOLO. G Guardian is basically the reintroduction of Quintet Wall style of defending. But yeah, Igraine in a Legion deck with all 10k grade 0 shields. This is pretty decent at 1. And 3 of the Edre, or you can run Halo Shield Liberator, doesn't really matter. or Liberator, Shield Marker, whatever his name is. But anyway, the guy that looks evil, and Grain, so those are the Sentinels. And I'm running another defensive card, 1 Starry Skies Liberator Guinevere. Makes this deck more tanky build, kind of like Gurgurit. So, yeah, Grain and this is really good. If you top deck this with a Grain skill, then you can use this to be super shield. So this duel works really well, although keep in mind that it is Counterblast 2 to do all of that, which is kind of expensive, but you never know when you might need to do that. Next, 4 of the best, most important grade 1. For Liberators, Bruno, you gotta run 4 of this. It's very essential. 3 is minimum, 4 is ideal. 3, Josephus, he is your draw card. He's basically their Calamity Tower or Banshee or whatever you want to call it. And then 2, Zoran, just to help keep the combo for Prominence Core going. Works really well with Prominence Core. So yeah. For the triggers, I am running 4 Catch Gull. Stands, why not? It's good. 4 Barb Troop. This thing can be used to search for grade 3s, so you can use for Stride Fodder, putting critical back in the deck. Similar to Aglovale. So yeah. And then 4 more critical. Liberators doesn't really matter. And Alka, best heal trigger for Gold Paladins, for Liberators or Bluish Flames, whatever. And then the Guido for the Legion. He kind of usually sits there and does nothing, but occasionally I do end up retiring him if he doesn't get retired by my opponent. For the Stride deck, didn't change. 4 Holy Flame. It did change. I mean, now it has 16 cards, but yeah. 4 Holy Flame. He's your go-to Stride. You're going to Stride him once. You're going to Stride him twice. You're going to Stride him 3 times. And hopefully win the match. But if not, you do have the new Golden Knight of Incandescence. This guy, I feel like he was meant to be used in Ezel and the older Gold Paladin decks, like Season 2 Gold Paladins, Spectral Duke Dragon, even Liberators from Season 3, Monarch Alfred, Gansalt Zenith, Break Ride, all that kind of stuff. So, one of him, because really 1 is all you need. This guy's your main go-to guy for this deck. 1 Ray Breath Dragon for the Unite play, if applicable, it depends. 2 Campbell because I don't have any other things. And then 1 Madu because we are running Legion. This deck is Legion heavy. And then 1 Air Element Seabreeze. I did want to feature this in a few of my deck profiles. This is good against like Ripples and people who force themselves to stay at grade 2 to try to ensure that they get first tried. I feel like I personally never really played like that. There was probably a few games where I actually did stay at grade 2. But most of the time I never really do that, so that doesn't really affect me. But yeah, it's sort of like an it's a counter to that type of play, basically. 1 Blizza, he can really like end the game later, I guess, if you're not needing to use this guy. And then the remaining cards are the G Guardians. So I am running 2 Rhea. She is actually quite good. The only time she's not gonna work is if you're up against Link Joker or Kagero or someone who can, like Blade Master is really annoying, who continuously nukes your field. Narukami can also be a little bit annoying, brawlers and stuff like that. But Rhea, for the most part, against most matchups, she'll be fine. And then 2 Desmel. Really nice against Dimension Police, like Laurel builds and stuff. And also really good against the Legend and the Great. Sometimes. It depends. Sometimes they don't really use that effect. And then, last but not least, 1 Metal Element Scryu. You can drop like a heal and a grade 3 to make this really good shield, like optimal Quintet Wall style shield. So yeah, that's basically it. Hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.